So good day. Today we would discuss about Kendall partial rank order correlation coefficient. So ito ay basically extension ng Kendall T wherein mine-measure natin yung correlation between two variables. Ganon din yung gagawin natin dito but this time we would be introducing another variable. Okay, so let's now discuss. So in reality, we cannot say that two variables, say x and y, are influencing one another just because they are correlated. In practice, we say that there might be external factors that affect the main variable of interest. So kung wari, nagsagawa tayo ng test and it revealed a strong association between two variables, say time spent watching television and then exam scores. Now, through analyzation of the RRL, suppose that we have found out that a certain variable z, say the amount of sleep, can be associated with the main variables of interest. So ngayon, dahil nakakita tayo ng possible variable na naging dahilan kung bakit mataas yung association ng main variables natin, magagamit natin itong test na ito para makita kung ganun pa rin ba ka-related yung x and y kapag yung variable z niya, kapag yung effect ng variable z ay ginawa nating constant. Kasi kapag ganoon, it would eliminate the impact dun sa main variables of interest. So data, we let x sub 1, y sub 1, z sub 1, up to x sub n, y sub n, z sub n, be a random sample from a continuous divariate distribution. So for the assumptions, the measurement scale is at least ordinal and no assumptions about the shape of the population of scores need be made. Now for the procedure, to test HO that X and Y are independent when the effect of Z is removed against the alternative that X and Y are instead related, we have two approaches that can be utilized. So kung mapapansin natin sa hypothesis natin, kamukha lamang siya ng chi-square test. Pero as we go deeper into the discussion, we would see na hindi applicable dito yung chi-square test. Although the hypothesis, their corresponding hypotheses are the same. Now, ito yung first approach. So step 1, we let x and y be the two variables whose relation is to be determined and let z be the variable whose effect on x and y is to be held constant. Step 2, obtain the ranks of all the n subjects in each of the three variables x, y, and z. Step 3, create a table of the obtained ranks, but make sure the ranks of Z are arranged in natural order or in increasing order. This is to ensure that its effect would be held constant. Step 4, observe every possible pair in the X ranks, the Y ranks, and the Z ranks. Note that there are n taken 2, sorry. So kindly just put n taken 2 here and taken possible pairs of ranks in each variable. For step 5, we shall assign plus to each of those pairs wherein the lower rank precedes the higher and minus to each pair in which the higher rank precedes the lower. So dito for step 5, we would see once again the concept of concordant and discordant. So this just implies that it is an extension of the Kendall T that it would be that was discussed in the previous video. So next slide. Uh, yan. So step 6, summarize this information using the table shown below. So for the column and row labels, I've just changed it into layman's term. So sila pa rin naman yung nasa Kendall T. So yung first case is X pairs whose sign agrees with Z sign and Y pairs whose sign agrees with Z sign. Okay? So up and so on until the fourth case na X pairs whose sign disagrees with Z's sign and Y pairs whose sign disagrees with Z's sign. So dito makikita natin na yung total is not n, but n taken. Okay, so dito pa lang magkaka-idea na tayo na hindi nga siya pang chi-square test. Kasi 'di ba sa chi-square test, n yung grand total natin doon. Now, step 7, compute for the value of the test statistic using the formula below. And remark, the formula above is sometimes called as the phi coefficient, and it can be shown that yung test statistic natin is equal to the square root of chi-square over n. So, na-discuss ito ng first group, no? So, napakita ito. And decision rule, we reject HO if the p-value is less than the desired level of significance. The needed p-value can be obtained via table P. This will be attached at the end of the course notes and sa video kapag nagdi-discuss na tayo ng example regarding hypothesis testing. Okay. So for the second approach, steps 1 and 2 are just the same. Pero dito sa step 3, we would compute for the pairwise Kendall T using the formula discussed on the Kendall rank correlation coefficient. Okay, so dito, yun nga, sa Kendall T kasi yung two variables lang. So dito, isasama natin si Z. Okay, so basically this is 3 taken 2 na pairs. I mean 3 taken 2 na era rank. Okay, so step 4, substitute these values on the formula shown below, which is introduced by Maurice Kendall, which is given by this. And step 5, the decision rule is just the same as the approach 1. So makikita natin dito na yung approaches basically nagkakatalo lang sila kung paano isosolve yung test statistic. But later on, we would further elaborate kailan ba mas magandang gamitin ang isang test over the other. Isang approach, rather. Then for the remarks, since the sampling distribution of the Kendall partial rank correlation is not yet known, no exact test of significance about the test statistic is possible. Nonetheless, we can utilize the p-value approach since there was a table derived for significance points of the test statistic for Kendall's partial rank correlation coefficient. Although it was stated na yung test statistic nga natin is equal to the square root of chi-square over n, a chi-square test could not be used. So, nasabi ko to kanina na yung overall sum niya ay hindi n, kundi n taken 2. Eh, di ba kapag chi-square test, nakita natin na dapat wala ngang mag-overlap na characteristic of interest. So, disjoint dapat yung 4. Doon kasi sa table na nagawa natin na hindi. So both approaches shown would yield the same coefficient, but approach 2 is recommended when n is large because n taken 2 also increases, which makes approach 1 more tedious. So mamaya makikita natin sa example na kasi kapag yung approach 1, kinukuha nga natin yung yung n taken 2 na pairs. So for example, let's say ang n natin ay 10. So, kung gagamitin natin yung approach 1 in this case, we would be utilizing 45 na pairs. And sobrang tedious na nun and hindi na may iwasan na, na maduling ka doon. So, kaya meron din tayong pinopropose na approach 2. Pero for small sizes, mamaya makikita natin na baka mas magandang gamitin yung approach 1. However, kapag merong ties on rankings, approach 2 must be utilized regardless of how small or big n is. So sa software application, ito yung R code and we would utilize this as a cross-checker kapag nagsosolve tayo. So examples, suppose we have 5 rankings of 5 as follows. Determine the correlation between x and y when z is held constant using the two approaches discussed. So dito, wala pa tayong hypothesis testing. We are just interested on the correlation. Okay? So approach 1, so steps 1 and 2 are already done. Inilagay ko dito kung ano yung nasa previous slide. Then step 3, we need to create a table of the obtained ranks. but make sure the ranks of Z are arranged in natural order. So ganito dapat yung magiging itsura ng table natin. Okay, so kung mapapansin nyo, dun sa question, yung ranks of Z kasi dito ay hindi pa naka-natural order or increasing order. So, naka-scatter pa siya. So, syempre, kapag in-arrange natin yung Z na, na values, gagalaw na lang yung corresponding X and Y niya. So, for example, yung nasa subject D, ang Z niya is 1, X niya is 4, Y niya is 3. Nandito rin siya sa ilalim nito. Yun yung makikita natin for the subject D under Z. This time, naka-arrange nga lang. So now for step 4, we observe every possible pair in the X ranks, Y ranks, and the Z ranks. So dahil N is 5, that's 5 taken 2, there are 10 possible pairs. So now step 5, we shall assign plus to each of those pairs wherein the lower rank precedes the higher and minus to each pair in which the higher rank precedes the lower. Okay? So ngayon, yung Z natin, dahil hineld constant nga natin siya, lahat yan naka-plus lang. Kaya kung makikita nyo kanina dun sa table, ang ginagamit lang natin is mag-a-agree ba yung X, yung sign ng X sa sign ni Z or Y sa Z. So naka-fix na lang kasi yung Z na puro plus lang dito. So hindi ko na to i-check isa-isa but we would try one case. So dito sa subject AB, check natin yung for X. So dito, yung A natin is higher than B. May higher rank for Z. Pero yung X, B yung may higher rank. So hindi parallel yung paggalaw. So dito, mas mataas si A. Dito, mas mataas si B. Kaya, ang ang sign natin for it ay minus. Kapag naman sa Y natin ititingnan, mas malaki si Y value for A kesa sa Y value for B. So dahil parallel siya, mas malaki dito si A, mas malaki rin dito si A, so plus sign yung gagamitin natin for the case of Y under the pair AB. So we would just perform that until the Y counterpart of DE. And ito na yung summary ng table natin. So makikita mo na yun nga, yung n taken 2 yung sum. So now we could compute for the test statistic using the formula below. So recall lamang na ito ang A, ito ay B, ito ay C, ito ay D. So ayan yung mga values na gagamitin natin dun sa formula na pinakita sa next slide. Okay? So makikita mo na ito yon 2 times 3 minus 2 times 3. So automatic na 0 siya regardless kung ano man yung naging denominator natin. So now, ipapakita natin na similar yung lalabas using approach 2. So steps 1 and 2 are done. Kagaya nga nung kanina. This time, we would compute for the pairwise Kendall T. So try muna natin yung for the XY. So iiwan ko as exercise yung for ZY and X. So now, to compute for the tau x, for txy, we shall rearrange the order of the subject so that the rankings on x occur in increasing order of magnitude. So, dito sa Kendall T, di ba, ang finifix natin ay isa lang doon sa dalawa. Dito naman sa Kendall partial, yung z yung nakafix. So, dahil nga extension lamang ito, ganun pa rin yung gagawin natin. But this time, we will determine for the value of s. So, review lang tayo. Paano natin nakuha tong 0 minus 4? So, for the first observation, ang first case ay ilan observations to the right of 5 ang mas malaki kesa sa kanya? Wala. Lahat sila mas maliit kesa kay 5, so 0. And then, ilan ang mas maliit kay 5 na nasa kanan? Lahat sila. So, 4. So, 0 minus 4. And then for C, for subject C, ilan ang mas maliit, mas malaki na values kaysa sa 2 na nasa kanan, 3 and 4. So 2. Ilan yung mas maliit sa 2 na nasa kanan? 1 lang under subject E. So 2 minus 1 and so on. And verify that we would get 0. And then now for the test statistic, kukompute na lamang natin ito na yung actual score, which is yung S divided by the maximum possible score, which is given by 1/2 times n minus 1. And we also get 0. And kindly verify na lang na yung for zy ay 0, for xz ay negative 0.2. And pag sinubstitute natin sa formula, 0 din yung lalabas. As well as sa software application natin, 0 din naman yung ibibigay niya. So from here, we can verify that on all approaches, the correlation between x and y with the effect of z held constant is 0. Next example. So dito naman, magha-hypothesis testing na tayo. So ayan, hindi ko na to babasahin lahat. So ipapakita ko na lamang dito na yung x and y daw, yung initial variables natin, ay yung authoritarianism and social status strivings. So ito yung table doon. And naka-obtain daw ng coefficient of 0.6667 nung tinest yung correlation nila. Dahil sa strong relationship, the researcher reviewed the related literature to see if there might be an external variable that plays a significant role on it. As he scanned it, he thought of gathering the daily allowances of the students. The data is shown on the next slide. So for the same 12 students, ginather itong daily allowance. So at 5% level of significance, test the hypothesis that authoritarianism and social status strivings are independent when the daily allowance is held constant. Okay? So, kung titingnan natin yung values, balik tayo, wala namang parang, you could verify na wala namang ties dito. However, dito sa daily allowance, sana yun, here, makikita natin na yung student AB has the same, CND has the same, and JK has the same. So dahil may ties, automatic na approach to lang yung pwede nating gamitin. Now for HO, authoritarianism and social status are independent when the effect of daily allowance is removed. However, for the HA, nagkaroon tayo bigla ng positive dependence. So take note na yung positive dependence, hindi siya palaging positive, it could be negative. Saan natin binabasa yun? Dun sa initial correlation coefficient nung main variables of interest natin. So, it becomes negative independence kung negative yung lumabas dun sa kanina. Okay? Now, step 1, and given naman na ito, inilagay ko lang na yung X ay for authoritarianism, Y for the social status strivings, and Z for the daily allowance. So step 2, obtain the ranks. Hindi pa naka-rank yung kanina, mga road observations pa lang yun. Kaya kailangan natin siyang i-rank, and ito yung summary nun. So in case of ties, i-average lang naman natin yung rank. So for rank 1 and 2 parehas, kaya siya tig 1.5, dito naman 3 and 4, dito naman 10 and 11. Okay? So ngayon, kukompute natin yung pairwise Kendall T. So this time, subject ZY naman tayo. So ganun din, kagaya lang ng ginawa natin for the first example, titingnan lang natin ulit kung ilan yung observations from 2 na mas malaki kesa sa kanya. So, 10 sila. Ilan yung mas maliit sa 2? Isa lang, yung 1. So, 10 minus 1. And then, for B naman, ilan yung mas malaki sa 6? So, 10, 9, 8, 12, 7, 11, 6. And then, 4 yung mas maliit sa kanya, and so on. And you could verify na yung S ay 22. So, dahil meron tayong ties, kagaya, 'di ba sa Kendall T na-discuss din paano gagawin doon kapag may ties, ganun rin yung dito. So for T of Z, meron tayo dito na formula natin is 1/2 times the summation of K times K minus 1, where K is the number of ties. So dito, tig-dalawa lang naman yung tie, dalawa, dalawa, and dalawa. Kaya puro 2 times 2 minus 1 yung nandito, and the answer is 3. So for y naman, wala naman tayong tie dyan, so 0 lamang siya. So as we compute for the Kendall P for zy, and ito yung lalabas, 0.34117. So we can verify na yung test Kendall T for XY is 0.66667. In fact, sinabi nga siya dun sa question. Pero of course, we could still check for it. And then for ZX naman is 0.40320. Ayan. So dito naman, step 4, we substitute the values. And mapapalabas natin is 0.61509. Ito na. So gagamitin na natin yung table P na sinasabi ko. So note that there are M equals 12 students. So from table P, notice that the largest value rather is 0.548, which belongs to alpha at 0.005. This means that the p value for the test statistic is guaranteed to be less than 0.005 kasi syempre habang lumalaki yung test statistic natin, mas nagiging extreme siya. So mas lumiliit yung p-value natin. So hence, automatically, we reject HO kasi tinetest lang naman natin siya at 0.05 level of significance. So therefore, at 5% level of significance, there is no sufficient evidence to say that authoritarianism and social status have positive defendants even if the effect of daily allowance is removed. Sorry for the confusion. So dito dapat there is sufficient evidence kasi nga 'di ba? We have rejected the null hypothesis. So ang gagamitin natin na word should be there is sufficient evidence to say na may positive dependence pa rin sila. Okay? So kindly remove this na lang. There is sufficient. Okay? Uh, next slide. Yan. So pag sa software application, makikita natin na yung p-value ay iba. It is because it solves for the two-tailed p-value and it does not utilize an LSA approach. So yung p-value na nakuha natin kanina, we expect it to be less than 0.005. Pero itong nakuha natin dito from the software application, pag dinivide natin yan into 2, ang lalabas is 0.0043. So kahit papaano naman, nag-align na siya doon sa ina-expect nating value from it. And that ends our discussion on the Kendall partial rank.